AITA for leaving the call when my brother announced that his GF is pregnant. My brother and I do not get on. When we were younger he'd go out of his way to make my life a living hell. To my parents' credit, they did tell him off for it when they caught him, but they both worked long hours and didn't have the energy to deal with our arguments. This continued into adulthood. He was salty that he failed his college course the first time around. There was a bad argument in our family a while ago and, I shit you not, it all started because I refused to decorate my brother's living room. I won't go into too much detail, but he wanted a pretty hefty discount. I said no and he threw a tantrum. You really need to meet my brother to understand just how bad he is. But hopefully this post will do it some justice. Instead of being a grown-up and talking to me, he decided to hook up with my toxic ex-girlfriend and the mother of my child. Due to the rules here I can't go into a lot of detail about what she was like, but she was not a nice person. She never really bonded with our son when he was born and I was left to do everything by myself. She eventually walked out on us and refused to have any contact with our son. She'll post on Facebook now and then about her beau today I fucked up a baby boy to get sympathy votes, but that's about it. I have been a single dad for almost 3 years now and I absolutely adore my son, but it hurts to think that one day he might question why his mum didn't want anything to do with him. How am I supposed to explain that to him? Anyway, it bothered me when my brother told me they'd hooked up together. It hurt even more when he started dating her. It had taken me so long to get over what she did to me and my child, and now my own brother was bringing her back into my life. Yesterday we had a family video call. Parents are high risk and we're not taking any chances. When my brother decided to announce that he and my ex were expecting, just froze. I didn't know what to do or think. I could feel myself starting to cry a little bit and it got a bit harder to breathe. Eventually I decided to just congratulate them and then made up some lie about needing to put my son down for a nap and left. I received a bunch of messages from my brother and his GF telling me that I stole their thunder. After I left, my parents and some other family members started worrying if I was okay and not really focusing on their news. My uncle told me that I should have just been a man and stuck it out instead of making excuses to get out of it. After all, it was expected that our kids would be raised around each other. I feel like maybe I shouldn't have left the call, but at the same time it would have been worse if I'd stayed and had a full-blown panic attack in front of everyone. Some of the family members are split and have argued that I won't be able to avoid my brother and his family forever, but others believe I was in the right to leave that situation. I don't know what to think. Edit. I just wanted to say thank you first of all for all the support. I fell asleep last night and woke up to so many kind and supportive comments. A lot of people have been asking how my parents feel about this. They aren't happy, but they don't have the energy to deal with all the hassle my brother would cause. They actually cut him off for a little while when he started dating my ex, but he phoned them constantly and, again, can't go into much detail, but he said he'd do something not so good. They keep him at arm's length, but I have told them not to cut contact because of me. If they want to cut contact on their own accord, then that's fine, but I do not want to be the reason that they have to deal with his tantrums. The rest of the family, for the most part, weren't happy about it but accepted it, or pretended to, when they started getting a bit more serious. My uncle, who told me to be a man, thought it was funny. That's just the kind of person he is. I think as hard as it might be, I am going to cut off contact with my brother and ex. As a lot of people pointed out, not for my sake but for the sake of my son. I don't want to put him through all that. Sorry I can't reply to all your comments, but I've been trying to read them all. Thanks again, Reddit. This is a lot to unpack, but you're definitely NTA. He purposely seeked out your crazy ex-GF, got her pregnant, and expected you to be okay with that news. It cut all contact with them. NTA. Thank you. Really, the only thing stopping me from cutting contact with them is my parents. They don't deserve to get caught in the middle of the drama that my brother and ex will inevitably cause. NTA. I think you handled the situation as well as you can. Also, really? Your ex is going to go and date your brother, and have a child with him, yet not take responsibility for her child with you? That's really messed up. Thank you. And yes, she's not a very nice person. I honestly doubt she ever really thinks about our little boy. She's missing out though, he's an amazing boy. Edited for spelling. NTAID have cut them both out completely. They're lucky you're showing up to calls at all. Honestly, you and your kid deserve better. Honestly, the only thing stopping me from doing that is my parents. I don't want them to get caught up in all that drama. Nadar, your kid is gonna grow up with half siblings but think they're cousins. His aunt will actually be his mum who wants nothing to do with him, and they're trying to make you think you're the asshole here? Nope. No way. Oh how, Neil. No. You are totally in the right here and you need to protect your kid from that toxic mess of a family. Honestly, the way you worded it made me realize even more just how messed up this situation is. My son is going to think his mum is his aunt. This is a mess. Thank you though, AITA, for not telling my mom I own her house. My wife and I have been having a discussion and she finds it really weird that I'm keeping this secret. Bought her house prior to COVID and so during the lockdowns I was able to get some really cheap contracting done because people needed work. I got it fixed up to rent it out, not to my mom, but just anybody. When it became clear people were losing jobs, I didn't want to rent to a stranger just to kick them out, so I kept renovating at a slow pace just to keep the house on the ups. Fast forward, I find out my mom is being evicted for not paying rent. I refuse to send my mom money I used to and it damn near made me broke. She has a gambling addiction and drinking problem. She lost her job. So I tell her I have a friend who owns a house one state over. With nothing to lose, she found a job out of state, applied with an agent I know out there who handled the beginning part, but really it's my house and she wouldn't have been approved otherwise. I rent it to her at below market rate but enough to where I know she's not wasting all money on gambling and drinking. My brother and his son also live there. She didn't tell management that, go figure. So my wife is like, I want to go see the house. Tell her what I did and she doesn't seem to understand that I never told my mom it's my house and why. As soon as I tell her it's my house, she's going to go back to being irresponsible, and it's bad enough my brother is freeloading there too, but this is going to be a financial burden on us if we tell her. As of now, it's not because she thinks some company owns it. NTA, it's mutually beneficial for you and for your mom as it stands currently. You have a renter, she makes more responsible choices and keeps a roof over her head. That being said, be prepared for this to blow up in your face if she ever finds out you are the homeowner. That's what my wife is saying. She's like, you know, she's going to have a shit fit when she figures it out. All she has to do is get wise and look at the damn property taxes. For me, at least I have a few months, I hope. NTA, it seems like you've found a way to keep her safe but also for her to stay on point with being responsible for paying for accommodation. Knowing she needs to stump up, and having been evicted before, could help give her some structure and hopefully keep her on track to turn her life around. NTA, your mom has a serious problem and this is a great way to keep her from being homeless while keeping your own boundaries intact. I just hope you can get your GF to see it that way so she doesn't go spilling the beans behind your back or something. XD, edit, thanks for all the upvotes and the award. My wife doesn't talk to my mom. They do not get along, so this is a bonus for me in this matter. Lol, the one time it's been in my benefit. My wife typically handles all of the financials, that's her career outside of home too, so it's very typical for her to want to see a property after work is done because she's thinking profits, which I expect. But in this case I just have to get her to ignore the house and just pay the bills on it for me, because quite frankly I'd how to do all of that and keep track of it. I think you're NTA for renting to your mom without telling her. Like another commenter said, it's the perfect solution to keep her out of the streets without throwing money into a black hole. However, why is it that it took your wife asking about the house for you to tell her about all of this? Aren't you partners? It's a bit weird to me that you never mentioned you were moving your mom into the house you've been renovating. Edit, judgment. My wife knew my mom moved in but she didn't know I made it seem like our friends, the realtor company, owned it. I didn't tell my wife the full plan because I didn't think it would matter. Honestly, she is kind of annoyed that I didn't tell her, but overall she really just thinks it's going to backfire. AITA, for telling my sister and parents that she can never live with me. To start with, I, 26F, have never had a good relationship with my sister, 32F. She didn't like having a younger sibling and had no interest in me. She moved out when she was 18 and ceased any contact with me, even going as far as rubbing it in my face how she never wanted to know me, by showing up for Christmas at grandparents' houses and bringing gifts for our cousins but not me, and by showing up for their birthdays but not mine. Last time I was anyway hopeful for us to have a relationship was at our youngest cousin's first birthday party when I was 15. She brought along her friends and was mocking me for trying to talk to her when I saw her earlier at the party, so I hardened toward her that day and decided if she didn't want to be my sister then I would just need to accept that and move on from her. She got married when I was 17 and told our parents I was not welcome. Our parents tried to change her mind but she was not having it. I thought that was when they realized there was no way we were going to be buddies someday or even real family. And now they expect me to help her out. She got divorced from her husband 4 years ago. He got her into a lot of debt and then bailed. They have a 7-year-old together. She lost her job recently and she got a new job in my city and then the rental she had planned to move into fell through and she ended up asking me to stay. I told her no. She went to our parents and the three put pressure on me. When I stood by my stance they paid for her to stay in a hotel for a while. She has not been able to secure a place and apparently lost the job due to a lack of actual address. They are all saying I turned my back on her and we should help family. I got really frustrated with all of them but especially my parents. She has never wanted a single thing to do to me. She has purposely gone out of her way to hurt my feelings and make it clear I am nothing to her. But I'm supposed to help her out because she's a struggling single mum. After everything, with no apology or actual sign that she doesn't feel the same about me. Where my guilt is coming in to ask this is she has a daughter and I feel bad for her. But her daughter is also a stranger to me. I have never been part of her life and I don't even know if she knows who I am. But still, she's a kid and as a mom now I am wondering if I am being a total dick here like they seem to believe. AITA fixed the typo about her being the younger sibling. It's that she didn't like having one. Also want to add because it keeps coming up that more could have happened before I was born in the early years that I am not aware of. But all I have ever been told is she reacted negatively to having a sibling and that's all I've ever known from her. Can't say I know of anything that could have caused it. NTA. An awful situation for the daughter, but this is karma coming for your sister for the way she treated you. You have absolutely no obligation to take her in. She has never treated you as family, so why should you treat her as such? Your parents can take her in if she's that desperate for help. Honestly, if she has nothing liked claimed moving to be closer to them would be her best option because she would have their help. NTA. Your parents must have been aware of your poor relationship with your sister over the years. They didn't do much to help repair it but now they'll jump into guilt trip you over this. Stick to your guns. Her daughter is not your concern in any way whatsoever. I wouldn't even bother with the financial help or gifts that some have suggested. You are a complete stranger to this child and opening up a relationship with your niece means having her mother in your life. Let your parents put them up in their house. She has spent your entire life excluding you from hers. You don't get to pull the "you're meant to help family" card after doing that. You weren't even welcome in her wedding, so I'd say you're really not her family. You might be biologically related, but you're not family. If you're ever going to rebuild your relationship, it needs to start with her sincere apology. That has not happened. She isn't sorry about how she has treated you. Get that their situation sucks and you're worried about the child, but your sister has brought this on herself. NTA. If your parents keep guilt tripping you, tell them to take her in then. Since she lost her job, there's really no reason for her to stay in your city.